Sweet. So, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Let's start with the first question I have. What does your usual workday include?
So I'll just tell you that my days are variable. So it kind of is a potpourri of different things that will come up.
All right.
Most every day does start around 5 or 6 in the morning because I have twin 3-year-olds. So I have to get the email done and some other things to make sure I've got the day set before they wake up, and I've kind of have a blow up there for an hour where I'm not able to do really anything, because if you have two of them at the same time, it's really not a job for one person. It's a job for two if you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
After that, there's a lot of conference calls. So we have clients all over the country, from Portland, Oregon, all the way to Charlotte and in between. So there's different time zones. There's a few different divisions to our business. So there's different types of projects, and so those all take a lot of hand holding and assuring the stakeholder or the client representative, whomever it is you're working with, to make sure that everything is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a lot of site visits. So sometimes that involves travel, where I'll have to go out of state and look at something that we're doing, or it'll just be going to look at a new project around Metro Atlanta. Depending on the size and the scope, I'll either be there with one of our general contractors or one of our subs, just to make sure that they're fully understanding what the circumstances are. But there's a lot of different things that happen. A lot of phone time, a little bit of travel, a little bit of site inspection.
Gotcha. How often is the travel outside of the state?
That is also variable. Sometimes it can be a couple times a month. Sometimes it doesn't happen for a month and a half or 2 months straight, because we have good people in certain regions. So our company has a West Coast office in St. George, Utah, and a Midwest office in Columbus, Ohio. And we've got what we call hub offices in Dallas, Texas, and in Charlotte. So those guys are able to cover a lot for us, but sometimes the main point of contact will want me to have eyes on a specific project if it's got a large scope, or if there's just a lot of moving parts, they want me to take a look at it. So that's kind of what dictates the travel, but it's also variable. So unfortunately, there isn't a do this and that every day. It just kind of, whatever the circumstances are, you just have to solve them that day.
All right. And could you please tell me how you got into your line of work? When did you first know this was what you wanted to do?
It was about 4 years ago. I was in Dallas at some meetings with Freddie Mac and some other government-sponsored enterprises and some large banks. Mm-hmm. And I had been working on the brokerage side of it, helping them dispose of their real estate. And in the process of doing that, I was also repairing their assets all over the place. So I was, in a sense, coordinating their contractors for them. I was at a dinner over some steak with one of the larger GCs, and a regional area manager, a director, and myself. And I just started kind of working through the process in my mind, doing some quick pencil math. And I realized I was on the wrong side of that industry. And then began laying the foundation to start my company on the contracting side. And then about 2.5 years ago, pulled the trigger and started leveraging those relationships that I built over the last 15 years and kind of building it from there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it wasn't anything I thought about for a super long time. It just kind of slowly presented itself.
Yeah, right on. And what do you like and dislike about your job?
This answers both sides of the question. It's the unknown. So starting a company that's not acquiring a franchise or buying something that's got a model, there's a lot of unknown that's there. And so it's equally exciting, and it equally provides a lot of heartburn at the same time. Mm-hmm. So those parts are terrific, and they keep you motivated, because every day is, again, different. You don't know exactly what's around the corner. You can plan, and you can do all the strategy sessions that you want and have all the operations meetings that you want, but sometimes clients are not going to do what they say, or they'll do more than they say, and so you've got to adjust accordingly. And all those things are great, but they also, pop out a gray hair here and there, because you're just not ready. You're trying to learn on the job. Vendor management is a big issue for us. We have to get reliable people that we can trust, that are efficient and effective at what they do, and also, cost effective, because given what's happened with our economy over the last probably 5 years or so, and what's going to continue to grow over the next 3 or 4 years, good relationships are hard to find that are reasonably priced.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we're growing our client base, we need to grow our vendor database, and to do that for the right price and develop those relationships takes a lot of work. And so when you're operating any company, there's a razor's edge between growth and client acquisition. So you're trying to grow your company and bring on the right personnel, but you don't want to do that too soon before you have the right amount of clients. So that's difficult every day. And then just frankly not being experienced as an employer. I've been sort of on the operations side of things for a decade and a half, but the responsibility never really fell directly on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the last few years it has, and I have to be the end decider on a lot of things. And so there are pressures that come with that you just have to learn as you go, and just have a lot of faith that you're going to be able to get the answer at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right. What did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
Like I said earlier, I didn't really think about it a whole lot. I assumed, I guess, that I would be a businessman because that's what my dad was. I probably thought I would do something with probably real estate or something tangible like that, because you can see it and you kind of feel the way that the markets move, but it really wasn't something I put a whole lot of thought into.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And do you have any favorite stories from your work life?
I like to call it, there's numerous examples, but I like to call it the days when God is just showing off, because I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself to try and come up with a solution, and I'll often just sit there and go, all right, I'm not wise enough to come up with this answer, so I'm just going to keep working as hard as I can, and then it'll be there when it's supposed to be there. And those happen frequently, and it's hard to describe, but maybe I'll just give an example. We were negotiating with an insurance company for probably 3 or 4 months. They saw things a little differently than we saw things. They wanted a pretty substantial increase in premium. Again, it's one of those things where really, if a massive, I won't name them, but if a massive insurance company says, no, this is what you're doing, so this is customarily what we need for you to pay. So you've got, Uncle Sam's asking you for a bunch of money all the time, the insurance people are asking, and so you just kind of, as a nascent business owner, going, goodness gracious, how am I going to make all these moving parts work? But I've got, payroll, and you do all these things where, I'm always projecting 6 months out. So my circumstances are never as bad in my mind, but you just get a little worked up over it. And then, we get a call from the insurance company and they say, you know what, I think you're right. We'll just wait and we'll renegotiate 8 months from now. And you go, I've never heard anybody give that kind of response out of an insurance company. So you just look up and go, all right, thanks. Because I know it wasn't me. I'm not that great of a negotiator. I'm not that special. You just go, okay, that's another one of those circumstances where it's like, all right,
yeah,
someone's helping to push along.
All right. If you had to do it over, what would you do differently? Do you have a different school, prep, intern, vocation?
There's a few things there. I paid my way through school, through college, and I had the complete wrong attitude about it. I thought, because I'm paying for it, I don't care. I'm just gonna show up, take the tests, get a B- and be fine with it, because if the teacher's gonna take points off because I didn't show up or didn't turn in homework, that's up to them. I don't care. And truthfully, I should have had the attitude of, I'm paying for this. I need to take it seriously and get everything out of it that I can. So that I think about that frequently, and I haven't been in college in 15 years, but I still think about, man, I kind of wasted that chance. I took a year off of college and traveled internationally and really loved it. I took a job as a parole salesman and had offices in 3 different continents, and it was an excellent experience. And for whatever reason, I didn't pursue that further after school. And I thought I would either go be like a ski bum, like working a lift, or go travel somewhere and just, go to Chile or even Australia or somewhere and just do those kind of things, because I love traveling so much and I haven't done it. Or even something like, maybe going to New York City for a year and just bartending in a huge city like that. And I didn't, because of allowing myself to be pressured into bill paying. I didn't take those decisions that you can only take when you're young. And those are the things that I don't regret significantly, but if I could do it over again, I would do those.
Are there any mistakes or wrong turns that you made you now think were very helpful?
Yeah, I probably stayed in my first career maybe 3 or 4 years a little too long because I was seeing the writing on the wall. I knew things were changing, but I just kind of left them as is, out of comfort and convenience. And I think those are the things that, you know, especially when you allow yourself a very nice life and you work hard for a nice life, you can get really comfortable in those circumstances when you kind of like feel inside that God is pushing you to do something else and you don't really take action on it. So that's probably, I don't look back a lot at things and, you know, be regretful about it. I just try to move forward as best as possible. But to answer the question, I probably just stayed in my first career a little too long.
Gotcha. All right. Did or do you now have a mentor or inspiration?
So, mentor inspiration, my grandfather, he just turned 105 years old on December 26th. And he ran a garment factory in Chicago. He owned it. You know, he started off as a tailor and built his, you know, career up. Excuse me. And every time I see him, even to this day, he can't hear very well, which, you know, I think at 105, it's just kind of like, you know, you can try to put a hearing aid in there, but there's nothing to extract, you know, so it's just, it's the circumstances are what they are. But he always says, how are the kids? How's Amber? And then tell me about the business, what's happening. You know, so he's still sharp and he still reads the paper and he wants to talk about, you know, the big real estate deals happening. And he's inspirational in that way. He's always been very healthy. He's always exercised a little bit, and he's always just, you know, expressed gratitude and thankfulness for being healthy and having a family. So he's probably a mentor, maybe not a mentor, but definitely an inspiration. I've always really liked James, the brother of Jesus, just because the circumstances are crazy. Like if Alex came to you and said he was the Messiah, you'd say like, go jump in a lake. So, you know, reading about him and how he saw things and how he turned around so quickly, he's got some very wise words that I like to look to about being, you know, using the humility that comes with wisdom. You know, I like that.
Yeah, all right, good deal. Do you think the job you have now will be the same job you have leading into retirement?
No question. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of help from a lot of people, you know, like I said, some fresh gray hairs to start a business and push and pursue, and to take those risks when you have a, you know, a young family. I know it's not something you would consider at this point in your life, but there's a lot of things that go into that, and so I took those risks and pushed because I wanted to make sure we would be able to have the kind of variability within our life where we could go where we needed to go whenever. And so I'm content where we are now, and
Gotcha.
I don't foresee any changes, no.
All right, and
But one more thing, so I don't really think about retirement. It's just put your head down and go and be thankful.
Gotcha.
You know.
all right,
So retirement's kind of one of those words I know people think about and plan for, but I don't.
gotcha. All right, and do you have any recommendations for me?
I do. The first one is try as hard as you possibly can to not allow don't put too much pressure on yourself. So, you know, life is a grand experiment. It's a major gift, and don't allow anything or anyone else to define you. Don't allow anyone else's circumstances to force you to compare yourself to them. Just be as much as you can in the moment and appreciate it and love it. And even if it's just, and sometimes when you're in a city, it's very difficult. You know, even if you just have to pick out a tree and look at it and go, that's beautiful. You know, notice some small things that'll help pick you up and ground you. That would be my main recommendation. Just don't let anyone else define you ever in life. You know, people are going to say things and people are going to have opinions, and that's human nature. but you can just appreciate that for being human nature. But don't ever let it define you or change where you're going to go, what you're going to do. But don't pressure yourself into trying to fit any specific circumstance or anyone else's expectation of you. Don't allow that pressure to develop.
All right. Thank you.
You got it, man. It was
All right,
fun.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
That's a wrap.
That's a